Some men have egos so fragile, you would think they were made of glass. No, seriously, some men used to believe they were literally made of glass. Glass delusion was a real psychological condition that plagued some of Europe's most powerful men in the late medieval to early modern period. I guess you could call this our fragile era. One of the most famous sufferers was Charles VI of France in the late 1300s. He became convinced his body was made of glass and refused to let anyone touch him. He would sit completely still for hours wrapped in blankets, and when forced to go out, wore reinforced clothing padded with hot iron rods to keep his organs in place. Cases of glass delusion were documented by physicians well into the 17th century, appearing in France, Spain, the Netherlands, and England. One man believed his buttocks was made of delicate Venetian glass and refused to sit down for years unless a pillow was tied to his behind. Another nobleman was convinced it was his head at risk of shattering, and so wore a metal helmet at all times, even while in normal conversation.
I heard of a bloke who took an arrow to the knee.
One nobleman was so convinced his heart was made of glass that he was literally worried about dying of a broken heart. But why glass? Well, glass in this period was considered incredibly fragile and precious, kind of like we might see porcelain today. This was also a time period of enormous instability. Think plagues, wars, shifting ideologies. And so some historians believe that glass delusion also reflected a deep anxiety about social and personal fragility. Then, of course, there were the alchemists. Many intellectuals were obsessed with the idea that glass had magical properties, transforming, refining, revealing hidden truths. So it could be the case that these philosophical ideas really influenced the presence of glass delusion. Glass delusion most often affected highly educated men, those prone to overthinking the nature of their existence. Renaissance doctors therefore linked it to melancholy that was often suffered by scholars and tortured intellectuals. Though some women would later get in on the fun. In the late 1840s, Princess Alexandria Amalie claimed she suffered from this now passé condition. She claimed she had swallowed a glass grand piano as a child, which now resided within her as an adult. Any sudden movement could cause it to shatter inside of her, and so she walked sideways through doorways and tiptoed through hallways. Rip Amelie, you would have loved the glass ceiling. While ridiculous to us today, the glass delusion was really just another way that humans tried to manage their fear